Shabbat Shalom, Betham. Good Shabbos and Chag Sameach to each and every one of you. Thanks to those of you who are joining us here in the sanctuary. We are delighted to welcome our Bethamniks who are in the comfort and the convenience of their homes. We're thrilled and delighted to have you with us on live stream this evening. And we are thrilled to welcome all of you. In terms of welcoming on a very personal note, it's my pleasure to welcome my father and my youngest brother, who are with us this evening from San Diego. They leave tomorrow night, but it's been a joy having them for the past couple of days. Welcome to both of you tonight. Thrilled to have you. They didn't expect any applause, nor did I, for that matter. But good Shabbos and Chag Sameach to you all. So I think you're aware of the fact that this is known as Shabbat Chol HaMoed Sukkot, the Sabbath that occurs, of course, during the intermediate days of our Sukkot festival. And I'd like to share this with you before we join with Cantor and with Mark in Shabbat Shalom. It's very brief. Rabbi Sharon Cohen Anisfeld, who is the Rosh Yeshiva, if you like, of Hebrew College, the dean of the Rabbinical School of Hebrew College in Massachusetts. She wrote that in the face of the uncertainty of our lives, Sukkot reminds us that this is our purpose for as long as we are here, to build and to plant, to live and to give life, as joyfully and as bravely and as generously as we can. I once saw a chazan, a cantor at an Orthodox shul, leading the congregation in Hallel on Sukkot. And in between each shake of the lulav, and he would draw the bundle of palm and willow and myrtle, he'd draw it back in towards his heart. There was something so touching to me about this simple gesture. It has stayed with me all of these years. Lulav, we're taught, is in Gematria the numerical equivalent of Chaim, which is something that I learned from Rabbi Anisfeld. The full total numerical value of lulav is equivalent to Chaim, the Hebrew word for life. Sukkot is the holiday when, grateful for the fragile gift of life, we grab hold of it with both hands and draw it close to our hearts, even when, especially when, we are shaking. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Please sing with me here. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat be together, so we'll sing Hinei Matov. Hinei Matov Amanahim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. 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 Hinei Matov Amanahim, Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad.
Thank you. Please greet one another, if you would, at this time with a Shabbat Shalom and with a good Shabbos. Good
Shabbat
Shabbos.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We are on page 3, Hadlakat Neirot L'Shabbat, for the kindling of our Shabbat candles. It's our very great pleasure to call upon Nancy Chesson to please step forward at this time. If you're able to, we invite you please to rise.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'echad l'kner, Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who house us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you, Nancy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Good Shabbos to you. Please be seated and please join with us, pages 20 and 21, our beloved Erev Shabbat anthem, L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabla. 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 L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabla.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל כמיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולהתגלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם מהנדסוך, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לאללה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בורך ומיורי, אורי שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בלם, גם בשמחה ובצוח עולה, תחבלי ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי העליון, מי יהיה מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. וכן לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי העליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. יתגדל ויתקדש ברבו,
אמן.
בעלמות יברכרותי וימליך מלכותי, בכיכון מכון הפחד כל בית ישראל. בהגלה, בהגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתחתר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדשו
בריחו
לחילו מן כל ברכתו ושירתו,
תושבחתו
ונחמתו, דמירם בעולמו, ויאמרו Amen. So we find ourselves in the middle of the holiday of Sukkot. So as you know, all major holidays, they have their leitmotifs. They have their special melody that is associated with the holiday. Well, we know beautifully Hanukkah, yes, and Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and Passover. Sukkot is not so much. So Mark and I, what we're going to do, I'm going to sing a special melody for Baruch Hu, for Sukkot. So because you don't know, I'm going to sing a phrase, and you're going to repeat after me. So together we'll fulfill our prayer, Baruch Hu. So listen carefully. It's an interesting melody, not very difficult. We'll do it together. Okay, so that's the first part. Listen. Baruch Hu, your God. Et Adonai, et Adonai, Hamevarach, from the Hamevarach, Hamevarach, Baruch Adonai Hamevarach, Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevarach, Hamevarach, Baruch Adonai Hamevarach, Leolam Va'ed.
Together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bitvaro ma'ariv varavim, b'chochma potech sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazamanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila. Adonai tzavaot shemo, Eochai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu, le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ham'ariv, Aravim.
Ahavot olam et Israel, Amachavto, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochveinu ufkameinu, נסיח ברוקך ולשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובכם נגיע יומם ולילה, נגיע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא שמו,
אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malachuto, Le'olam Va'ed. V'ahavata et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha, ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim
Emet.
Emet. Before Mi Chamocha, friends, I found on Ritual Well a Simchat Torah in advance, in anticipation of Simchat Torah, Monday night and Tuesday, a Simchat Torah meditation, Waves of Torah, by one Devon Spear. I saw the ocean unfolding, but really it was Torah, its pages going on forever, and the weight of its history like the finality of its black ink, darkly pulling me under. But there in the sea of story, I found light in the spaces between the letters. And in the black parchment, I swear, I could hear our ancestors breathing with me, parting the waters through the exhale, extending the scroll through the letters they took in at the mouth. I saw the Torah unfolding, but really it was the ocean made by each of us, carrying the scroll through the waves of our breathing.
So that's the melody for Sukkot Mi Chamocha. Good luck. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Neder B'Kodesh, Nor Tehilot Osefele, Let's try it one more time. Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Neder B'Kodesh, Nor Tehilot Osefele Malchutach בוקר היום לפני משה זה אלי עדו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לפד אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מתחזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך וברוך שמו.
גדול ישראל. Words on page 43. Let there be love and understanding. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship heal, shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship heal, shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leshalom, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu ושמור את צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו, השכיבנו Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Why don't we read together? Let there be love and understanding among us, and let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם, כששת ימים עשו אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Dad and Nance, that's probably, that's the cantor's way of welcoming both of you a South African, you recognized it, a South African melody to Vishamru, what we grew up with at Temple Israel, just a few years ago. Just a few. But it endures. This magnificent melody
beautiful.
endures from 1 year and 1 decade to the next. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you indeed. Page 46, as we rise for the tefillah, pray as if everything depended on God. And Betham now act into this 19th tonight, the 19th day of Tishrei, the 19th day of this new year. Let us now act as if everything depended on us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah אלך הגדול, לך גיבור וחנורו, אלך אלכון, גם אלך חסדים טובים, וקונך הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות באימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניכם, למען שמו בחפר. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחייך כולתו, רב להושיע, מוריד בתול. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחייך כל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשעיני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גיבורות ובידו מלוך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונמון נטע לך חיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללו חסלו. ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Friends, just a gentle reminder on this Shabbat Chol Hamoed Sukkot to include in our liturgical repertoire the so-called Ya'aleh V'Yavor in recognition of this day of Sukkot on page 56. And then tonight we're going to, we'll go through page 60, not page 62, but through page 60, and then we'll join with Cantor in Shalom Rav. Those who need to be seated at this time, please feel free.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech Edom L'chol HaShalom. Ki atahu melech Edom L'chol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
Page 62, Tfilat Halev, the prayers of our hearts, the meditations of our hearts. Birkat Refuah, the prayer for healing, page 253. Misha berach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim hahim, hakorash baruch hu yimalei rachamim alehem, lachlimam urapotam ulhachzikam, v'yishlach lemehira refuah, refuah shlema min hashamayim, ruafat hanefesh uruafat haguf, b'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael, hashat ba'agla ufisman kariv, v'nomar.
Amen.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal Barry Abrams, Deborah Allison, Cynthia Baylor, Carol Blake, Annette Braverman, Jeff Chernow, Sandy Chernow, Stephen M. Cohen, Andy Dorfman, Marcy Fish, Evan Friebowitz and Lani Friebowitz, Bobby Glaberson, Stuart Geddes, Robin Green, Rita Jaffe, Spencer Leibowitz, Stephen Litvak, Keith Locke, Amanda McCall, Harav Miriam Batyakova, Laurie Molowitz, Vagihi Partieli, Harvey Ostroff, Harav Rachmiel Batshmul Fruma, David Rachmiel, Ben Sarah Valevi, Selma Romoff, Jennifer Russell, Samuel Schloss, David Stein, Beverly Tisdale, and Judy Weiss. If there are any other names that you would like to publicly affirm at this point, please feel free to do so if you would. Linda? Thank you very much. Jay? Thank you. Rini? Thank you. Bev? Thank you. Elliot? Thank you. Steve? Thank you very much. And thank you. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send each a refuah shlema, a complete renewal of guf, of body, and of neshama, and of soul. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
To make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberoch imotenu, bekorech haberochahu, lahavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach Betham. Good Shabbos to you all. Just over a week ago, you'll no doubt recall that we held our annual Yom Kippur Yizkor Memorial Service, during which, of course, we lovingly and tenderly remembered those of our loved ones no longer alive. In a similar vein, I want to acknowledge tonight a very specific milestone anniversary of death. Today, 30 years ago, Theodore Geisel passed away at the age of 87 in his beloved La Jolla, the popular and beautiful seaside town in San Diego, which I very much consider a home away from home. You might not have known him by his given name, but rather by his adopted pen name, Dr. Seuss. Internationally renowned children's author, political cartoonist, illustrator, poet, and animator, he won a special Pulitzer Prize in 1984, citing his contribution over nearly half a century to the education and to the enjoyment of America's children and their parents. Now, coincidentally, Dr. Seuss and his second wife, Audrey, lived in an unpretentious, though very neatly manicured mountaintop home on La Jolla Scenic Drive South, around the corner from where my dad lives to this day. The two homes are actually in walking distance from one another. It was there that he returned to writing children's books, which brought him international fame. An all the more remarkable fact, given the fact that he never had any children of his own. Dr. Seuss's books, over 650 million copies sold worldwide, express his views on a wide variety of social and political issues: environmentalism, racial equality, the arms race, and internationalism, to name but a few. Gesundheit. It is true that earlier this year, some of his earlier works for children were criticized for unconscious racist themes. And as a result, 6 of his books will no longer be published because they portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. But later works by Dr. Seuss carried very strong messages of the importance of accepting others. What is uncontestable is the fact that Dr. Seuss was a champion of American Jews. It's believed that he himself experienced anti-Semitism when at college. He was at Dartmouth, by the way. He was refused entry into certain circles because of a misperception that he was Jewish. It took a year and a half before word got out that I wasn't Jewish, he wrote. He was, in fact, a practicing Lutheran who often spoke out in support of equal opportunity for Jews. When the University of California was interested in establishing a local campus in La Jolla, he was very quick to warn both civic and church leaders that they could never hope to develop a great university until they ceased discriminating against Jewish home ownership. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that there was a time when La Jolla, no doubt like in so many other residential communities throughout this country, when La Jolla was, to all intents and purposes, Judenrein, free of Jews. And it was largely the efforts of notable La Jolla residents to right that wrong. Residents such as Dr. Seuss and, of course, Dr. Jonas Salk, who is rightly credited with having developed the first successful polio vaccine. In 1963, Dr. Salk founded the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in La Jolla. And the following year, anti-Jewish restrictive covenants ended. Why? Because the La Jolla Real Estate Brokers Association were told in no uncertain terms that realtors could either accept Jews or face the consequences of losing both the Salk Institute and a new branch of UCSD in La Jolla. Thank goodness, civic decency and common sense prevailed. Most people are unaware that Dr. Seuss was a highly influential political cartoonist during World War II, and his wartime cartoons denounced American discrimination against Jews and called attention to the early stages of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. He became, in fact, one of the very first cartoonists, if not the first, to warn of the fate of Jews under the Nazis. As a third-generation American whose 4 grandparents were born in Germany, he had a keen interest in European affairs. His cartoons also attacked reactionaries and isolationists such as Charles Lindbergh. And Dr. Seuss continued to target anti-Semitism both in Europe and in the US. He also undertook a specific campaign against Father Coughlin, the notorious Catholic priest who preached anti-Semitism on his national radio show. Through his cartoons, he played an important part in quashing Coughlin's hate speech and in muting the priest's effect on the American public. Dr. Seuss's books have been translated into more than 20 languages, including, of course, Hebrew and Yiddish. In particular, ein Fisch, zwei Fisch, Reuterfisch, Bleuerfisch. I don't think that a translation is necessary. Incidentally, what was the inspiration for De Katz, De Payets? In 1927, Dr. Seuss moved to Queens, New York, where he met a neighbor, Mickey Katz, an Orthodox Jew. Katz, being Orthodox, always wore a yarmulke, something that intrigued Dr. Seuss, for he had never seen it before. And so it's believed that Mr. Katz and his hat became the inspiration for... So they say. In a ceremony at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, this is a fact, in 1969, Theodore Seuss Geisel received a plaque for his contributions to worldwide literacy and in recognition of his friendship for and with the Jewish people, was awarded the title of Honorary Jew by then iconic Jerusalem mayor Teddy Kollek of blessed memory. I began my brief remarks this evening by invoking Yom Kippur. And so the story has it that in 1946, Dr. Seuss was invited to a Yom Kippur break the fast by his Jewish editor at Vanguard Press. He felt he should bring something to the meal, but of course, not being Jewish, he had no idea what would be appropriate. And so he went to a local Jewish deli and asked what he should buy for the occasion. Said the deli employee, "I have nice locks in my icebox." And that line kept on whirling around in Dr. Seuss's head. And sure enough, the very next day, he began writing Fox in Socks. An early draft, by the way, an early draft of the book included the line, and I quote, "Fox in socks, on box, on knocks, enjoyed nice locks from the icebox." But that line was later cut from the book. Nicht gefehlich. But on this, today, September the 24th, 2021, on this, the 30th anniversary of his death, we remember Dr. Seuss and his unique, incomparable contribution to the world of children's literature and his admirable, unwavering support for the American Jewish community. May his memory be for a blessing. Now, talking of blessings, being the last Shabbat of the month, it is our very great pleasure to call upon those celebrating a September anniversary to please feel free to step forward to the lower pulpit at this time, where we would have the great pleasure of bestowing the special blessing upon Harriet and Barry. Anyone besides Harriet and Barry? So, very good. They represent all September wedding anniversary couples at Betham. And dear Barry and Harriet, truly we could not wish. There's nothing there to begin with. We could not wish for a more splendid representation of all September wedding anniversary couples. Would you like to mention to our friends how many years? 16. That's right. Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
And we remember to this day.
Yep.
Standing under your beautiful chuppah. And Harriet and I mentioned this so many times, even over the course of 16 years, the incredible booklet that you and Barry put together. Well, which largely the bride put together. And to this, I have copies of it. And to this day, I give it to wedding couples when I meet with them. The most incredible explanation of each of the standard ritual parts of the Jewish wedding ceremony. So it's our great pleasure to share these words with you. Source of laughter and of gladness, let your presence accompany these loving companions. Pour love over them, grant them growth each alone and together. May health and devotion, laughter and understanding abound for them. May they have the strength to share life's sorrows. May their love deepen and flower. Open their hearts to one another. May their hands be open to family, to friends, to our people Israel, indeed to all humanity. And to that let us all say,
Amen.
Amen. To our current, to our latest Shomer Habayit, to our guardian of the house, and to his sweet couple on this their 16th, Barry and Harriet. We can't think of a more exemplary Bethlehem couple. Your extraordinary devotion to the synagogue is a blessing to each and every one of us. Of that, there is absolutely no disagreement whatsoever. We love you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and here's wishing you many, many more additional years of good health and good fortune always. It's our great pleasure. Bavakasha. Now stay right here because we're going to join with Cantor and Mark in Siman Tov.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yachelanu, 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 Olachol Yisrael, Yachelanu, Yachelanu, Olachol Yisrael, Yachelanu, Yachelanu, Olachol Yisrael, Yachelanu, Yachelanu, Olachol Yisrael. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yachelanu.
Mazel Tov, dearest friends. Congratulations to you both. May we invite you, please, to step forward for the opening of the Ark. Shebyono, could we ask you, please, to join Barry and Harriet at this time? We are on page 282 for Aleph. 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שמח חלקנו ככם, וגור עלינו ככל כמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים כקדוש ברוך הוא. שכונת השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינה דוסו בכוכבי מרומים. כה אלוהינו עינות, גם את מלכנו וזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בחשבונות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך לכל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמעו אחד.
Thank you, Shabbat.
Please be seated. Page 292. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust in the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learnt the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silence in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and our concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Amanda Frances Burrows, Frank Burstein, Sam Dion, Bernice Jacobs, Marvin Ratner, Evelyn Silver, Ruth Wilkoff, and Bernard Wyman, who passed away during Shloshim this past month. This evening we call to mind Irvin Abrams, Rose Benson, Stanley Bloom, Maya Boutel, Herman Brodoff, Robert Brownstein, Lena Brownstein, Annette Cahan, Esther Cohen, Dr. Leonard Finkelstein, Samuel Bob Foreman, Edwin Freebowitz, Ethel Frumkin, Rose Gelb, Edith Goldman, Ozzie Goodman, Sidney J. Green, Michael Hantman, May Kaplan, Carolyn Cates, Konrad Leibowitz, Esther Lipschitz, Rabbi Avshalom Magidovich, Abraham L. Matursky, Harriet Moskowitz, George Potash, Louis Roth, Seymour Raltenberg, Carol Schwartz, Barbara Seldich, Norman Schechter, Shirley Shippon, Sophie Sklar, Rabbi Harold Bernard Waintrup, Zichrono Tzadik Livracha, Anna Wachowski, Edith Welsh, Machilla White, Myrna Williams, Doris Walk, Reuben Newson, and Morris Zager, whose Yortzeiten occurred during the course of this past week, and all those other dear ones whom we now remember with tender affection. Together, as always, with the 6 million of our martyred brethren who perished in the Shoah, and all those who gave their lives and who continue to give their lives in defense of Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel, and of these United States. Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. Kaddish, page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shmei Rabbah, Amen. Bioma divrach Yirute v'yamlich Malchute b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agalau fisman kariv v'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavorach Liolam Ulalmei Ulamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yit hadar, v'yit halev, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudashah brichu, leilam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'olma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. May there be abundant peace from heaven, and life for us and all Israel, to which we say, may the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and let us say, amen. Would you please be seated? It's our great pleasure at this time to call upon our immediate past president, Mark Braverman, for the greetings and this evening's announcements. Mark, thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good Shabbos, good Yontif, happy Barry Day. Oh, my thing just switched. Nobody wants to know about that. Tomorrow morning, Torah study will be led by Rabbi Tornberg on Zoom, followed by the peer-led service. Torah reader is Steve Lavner. Remember, the Book of Remembrance is still available. If you haven't gotten your copy, there are still some available back by the office. Pirkei Avot on Sunday with Rabbi is at 11 o'clock. They'll be using chapter 5, verse 1. The Zoom link is in the weekly email. You may now make your High Holiday pledge on Venmo. So no excuse if you haven't sent it in. You can do it immediately. That was Sherry's doing. And there's just nothing else in there this week. It's calm and quiet. Be here Monday night at 7:30 for that beautiful Simchas Torah service. 7? Oh. Sorry, 7 o'clock. Well, you got to get moving a half hour earlier. Again, good Yontif, good Shabbos. Everyone have a great week. As always, a pleasure seeing all of you.
Thank you. Good Shabbos to you. Yes, the Erev, the very much abbreviated, largely non-liturgical Erev Simchat Torah service will be at 7 p.m. at 7 o'clock this Monday night. We have extended a direct and personal invitation to the B'nai and B'not Mitzvah families of 5,782. And obviously, we are certainly welcome to join with them B'simcha in celebration, 7 o'clock on Monday night. And then just to remind you that Rabbi Tornberg and Cantor Zark will lead the Simchat Torah morning with a full Yizkor service in person in the sanctuary, 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. But it's still Sukkot, so we conclude on page 360. By the way, of course, we hope you'll join us for Kiddush and for Motzi outside. Page 360 from Kohelet, which of course is traditionally read on Shabbat Chol HaMoed Sukkot, from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. We're all familiar with the turn, turn, turn.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to love, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, a turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. So everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heavens.
We hope that you will join the birthday boy, the distinguished birthday boy, our Vice President of Religious Practices, Barry Tinkelman, who celebrates Hayom today. So, Barry, you'll take up the please, the Becher, if you would. We'll celebrate with you outside. We want to thank our fellow Bethamniks who have been with us on live stream. God bless you all. Good Shabbos and Chag Sameach. And allow me to conclude with these beautiful words. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat Chol HaMoed Sukkot, which unites us in faith and in hope. For Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living. For Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness. For Shabbat peace, born of friendship and of love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Shabbat Shalom and good Yom Tov.
Moadim
Moadim l'simcha. Moadim, bemet, moadim l'simcha.